Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Total Outdoor Experience, Week 2 hunting blog. This is October 8th, 2010. Start right off, it's been a dry week. We haven't had any precipitation to talk about down here in Tennessee, whereas up north, they've been getting hammered with rain, floods, and just too much rain, and we haven't got any. I got my springs out here on the property are starting to go low, and they're just trickling. They're still running, but they're trickling, and um, we're looking for rain here, or maybe not to hunt in, but just for the whole total thing. But October and September are the two driest months here in the state of Tennessee, so it's really nothing new, but I think we need some rain. Um, and it got cold this week for the first time, the coldest it's been. It's got down into the 30s, upper 30s. It was like 38 on Monday and Tuesday morning. Excuse me. But it has been warming up in the daytime. Once the sun comes up by noon, it's usually up into the 60s. By the time I'm getting out of the stand about 9 o'clock, it's in the 50s. So it hasn't been too bad, but it's getting chilly, and the deer are starting to move a lot more with this cold weather. The first of the week, with this cold weather moving in, it got pretty windy. It was 15, 20 mile an hour winds, and I went to go get up in one of my stands last week, and on a small tree like that, I was dancing all over, and I don't like to be up there too much like that. So I got down, and I've been hunting in a couple blinds this week, and most of the activity I've been seeing has been in the mornings. Afternoon, I haven't had any activity at all. I haven't seen one deer in the afternoon. I don't know if that's because it's warmer and they're waiting, or just where I hunt, but I haven't seen a deer in the afternoon, not one. I went out on Sunday in my blind at my tank out there, the tank blind I call it, and I was waiting, sun come up, and I heard something come behind me. Of course, squirrels everywhere, so I kind of thought it was a squirrel, but it sounded a little different. I looked over to my right-hand side, and here come up three turkeys up next to me about 15 yards away. Well, as soon as I turned my head, they saw me, and they spooked out of there. So I got my turkey call out of my pack, because in Tennessee, you can bow hunt turkeys during bow season. Deer season. So I got my diaphragm call out, and I called them turkeys back in. They're up on the ridge, and they come back down to about 35 yards away. And it's either sex here in the fall, so I tried to take a shot at that hen, and my arrow hit a branch, and the arrow landed right at her feet, and they just beat feet out of there. But it was pretty cool. I had them turkeys come in. That was all I saw that day. On Sunday, I didn't have any deer moving at all at the tank stand. As a matter of fact, the only deer movement I've been seeing at all has been at my pond stand up above the pond, um, where I went in there on Monday morning, and like I said, Monday was the first day it got really cold in the morning. I started a fire in the house and everything, and before I went out. But as soon as I got into the stand, it was still dark, and them deer were already at the stand. Whereas they've been coming by at about 7:30 or 8 o'clock every morning, they were already in there, and at 5 in the dark. So that cold weather had them moving up. They're not used to it quite yet, and they're up moving. But by the time I got into the stand, they'd blown and they took out of there. And I almost turned around and got right out of there, but I said, no, I'm going to sit this stand anyways. I'm already here. So I sat up in the stand, and then right at 8 o'clock, I had a lone doe come down, but she knew right where I was. She had her eyes fixed on me the whole time, and I made a little tiny movement, and she blew and got out of there. So I had to make a change of plans at that stand, and I took that stand right down that day. Dropped it out of the tree. It wasn't that high up in there, and it's on the side of a hill, so when they're coming down that hill, they can look right at me. I mean, your eye level. So I went and got the pop-up line and put it up in there, a little bit up the hill more, and right on the property line. And it seemed to do pretty well because I shot a 5-point there yesterday on the 7th. I was sitting in that pop-up blind, and he come right down. It was 7:15 maybe, pretty early. That deer come straight down the hill. Wasn't a great sized buck, a little basket rack, little scrub 5-point. But he come right down to within 10 yards, and I wasn't going to shoot him at first. I was going to shoot first when I saw him come in. I was like, oh, good, a doe. I'm going to shoot this doe. I need some meat in the freezer. And I saw his little buck. I thought, I need to pass on him. And anybody that knows me, it's hard for me to pass on deer. I don't do it too often. But I was going to pass, and I let him go, and he just kept on around me. He was within 20 yards of my ground blind for over a half hour. Just kept on walking around and feeding, and he was so curious about that ground blind he couldn't see in there. through the screen, but he just kept on. I was wondering if he was going to come and look right in the window. He just kept on circling around, coming behind it, looking around. He couldn't smell nothing. He had his nose in the air, was smelling, and he didn't, he wasn't worried or nothing. He was just really curious. Well, finally, he come in front of me that last time, and he was 10 yards away, and that muzzy smacked him, hit him right in the shoulder, and it shattered his front shoulder. And I wish I had it on camera. He did like a rodeo horse, buck straight up in the air, come back, land on his back, rolled down the hill about 3 times, and then he only ran about 30 or 40 yards before he died over there. I got him back to the house, and I had to butcher him up real quick. I don't even have any pictures. It was, like I said, well, yesterday it was only in the 40s in the morning, but it had warmed up by 10 o'clock. It was already up to 70. So I had to get that deer butchered quick. I got him quartered and thrown in a cooler, and I got to finish butchering them up today, cut them into steaks and hamburger and such. I'll do that today. But I had me some tenderloins for dinner yesterday, and it was pretty good. But other than that, I mean, mornings have been good at that pond stand, but I haven't seen any deer at all in the afternoons. There's been no movement in the afternoons, and I just don't understand that. I guess, once the rut starts to kick in a little heavier, we're going to get a lot more deer movement, maybe some bigger bucks. That 5-point, that's the third different buck I've seen so far in 2 weeks, so that's pretty good. I like that chance there. The bigger bucks, they should be coming around soon. I've heard people talk about that the deer are already starting to rut. I was at Walmart the other day, and a guy come up and asked me. He said, I've been seeing them. People think I'm crazy. But he isn't the first person that said that, and I really think that they are. There's a blue moon coming up next month, which is 2 full moons in the same month, and that's really, the deer activity is going to start early and heavy this year in November. I think muzzleloader is going to be an amazing month. Right now, this week, the moon phase, it was a crescent to yesterday was a full moon. There was new moon, excuse me. There was no moon out at all. But once that full moon starts to kick in, the pre-rut's starting already. I really think that these deer are going to start rutting heavy early this year, and hopefully we're start to get some big bucks coming around here. I got meat in the freezer now. Now I'm trophy hunting, so I'll be waiting on the big buck now. Other than that, it's been a really good week. Everything's worked out pretty well, and I'm pretty happy. Already getting a deer in the freezer 2 weeks in. Like I said, that muzzy did its job. Everybody talks about the retractable blades and the rages and everything, and they're good blades, I reckon, but I don't see any reason for me to change from a muzzy. I mean, it does its job. I don't got to worry about if it's not going to open or whatever. It is there, and it broke the shoulder of that deer right away. Didn't have to worry about it lodging in the shoulder or whatever. With that Hoy, it flew it through it. That, and of course, Total Outdoor Experience, we used deer dander, Team Fitzgerald. It's a cover scent and deer attractant in one. It's some really good stuff. I mean, that buck that come in yesterday, he didn't have no clue. He didn't smell me. He didn't have nothing, and I had a bunch of that on. So, I think that's pretty good stuff. So I think you should go out and try it. Check them out at teamfitzgerald.com. You can find out some of their products. They have other products as well as videos and everything like that. And as for me, the Total Outdoor Experience, I'd like you to come check me out on Facebook, become a fan, tell all your friends about us. We need as many people on there as we can. I'm a struggling guy. I want to make this a little bigger as it can. Of course, I'm on YouTube, and my hunting videos, I always post them on BowTube, which is a sister site to bowhunting.net, where I will be writing some articles called, my column is called Do It Yourself with Ralph Cody, with a slant on hunting on public land and do-it-yourself type hunts. I've got the article written. He just doesn't have, right now he's really busy and he hasn't got a chance to put it up on the website yet, but it should be up there within the month, I hope, and I'll be writing a monthly column for that. So check me out and check out my website. You can find the link to it on the Facebook page, the Total Outdoor Experience website, where I got videos and all my other stuff. I'll put it in one place there. So come check me out. Tell your friends about us, and good hunting this week.